everyone. Thank you for singing. Today we are going to start with the Bach Non cum der Heiden Heiland, the sixth and final movement. One thing that I want to start off with is sopranos in measure 8. So, I want the feeling. And then in measure 11, really use the A, because I know that you are just kind of staying rather static throughout, but I don't want it to feel static. I want there to always be that sense of direction. So using that A to really move into that G, and that G to move all the way through. So why don't we start in measure 7, everyone start singing. I'm gonna give you 3, and then on 4, tenors and altos come in, and that part, that dyna you have right there, is super important because that leads to the high G in the sopranos. So really bring that out in the tenor and alto section. And then, sopranos and basses come in on 1. So measure 7, bottom of page 23. Tenors, in the last measure, I'm going to give you ba, 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 ba. So can we just start right on measure 12 for tenors? So I'll be subdividing 1 and 2. So. Okay, let's try that one more time. So I will give you 4 and coming right in on 12. Okay, Heather, did you get? Thank you. So we're gonna go ba, 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 ba. This is how it's gonna go. So ba, 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 ba. And now. So why don't we all start with that lovely soprano entrance once again. On page 23, at the bottom. At the bottom of page 23, measure 8. So I'll give you 3, 4 to the pickup into measure 8. And so now, I want to focus on the basses. At the top of page 24, in measure 9, you're la, I really want that light and detached all the way throughout, because you're the part that's really keeping us grounded throughout this entire piece. So if we can get that staccato, but with that sense of direction all the way through, really leading to your chromaticism in measure, what would it be? 11. So, why don't we start, actually, I'm going to go back a little bit further, and then we'll just remember that when we get there. In measure 4, where we start with, where sopranos go, comme du jeune, and comme du jeune, and all through. Can we sing that like it's a surprise, or like you have a secret, to really get your contrast from the beginning measures? Sing it not necessarily softer, but with more intensity and like, oh my gosh, I have to tell you something. It's kind of that feeling. You're at saying, come you nice crown, you're inviting this concept, like you're really excited about it. So can we have that emotional shift there? Why don't we start all the way back at the beginning? Why don't we go now onto the Britain? We are going to be doing the Rejoice in the Lamb by Benjamin Britten, starting with the Nimrod section. And why don't we just run that all the way through? And I'm going to give you two. Wonderful, thank you. That was so lovely. One thing I did notice is that the diction throughout this piece in particular has such visual language. It really describes this picture so wonderfully, and I'm starting to lose some of the text throughout. I think this piece has such an intensity and it's so fun to sing, but sometimes I feel like our consonants are starting to get further back, and so if we could really just make sure everything is forward and using our lips a lot more. In the forte sections, it's really good, but sometimes in the pianissimo sections, I'm starting to lose some of the text. So, can we make sure that we're keeping that intensity all the way through? Why don't we start on top of page 6. So, let Balaam appear with an ass and bless the Lord his people and his creatures for a reward eternal. And actually with your hands, can you show me the stress of each word as we go through this part to really make sure each important word is coming out of the text here? Thank you. So I'm just going to do 3. Top of page 6, pick up into let Balaam. Let Balaam appear with an ass and bless the Lord his people and for a reward eternal. Wonderful. Thank you so much.